and I'm going to leave peacefully. I came here in love because no one has heard the voice of any parents or anyone across the street except for Sandy. No one has talked to a parent. No one has talked to any member of the staff. And I want to come to you as a Christian sister and explain to you the magnitude of your decision and the lack of communication that you've given. I am not here to come in hate. I am not here to raise my voice. I am here in love, but to help you understand. The first thing I want to say is that I truthfully do not understand how you could make a decision affecting 52 families displaced in our communities without the Board of Deacons and members of the congregation having a meeting with the parents and the staff and getting any feedback from them. How can you possibly get a well-rounded viewpoint without that? That's impossible. Information is coming from one source and one source alone. You also robbed them of a chance to help and fight for what they believe in. If finances is the issue, fine. Several years ago, the daycare was at that point before. We were down to 55 enrolled. We were transitioning directors. The staff was gathered together. They were all given a financial breakdown. And as a team, we're given the opportunity to say, are you willing to sacrifice or what are you willing to do to keep this ministry going? And the staff joined together and they did that. The parents were also said, you may have workers that are here later than normal, working longer hours than normal. We gave them a chance. There is a church in Winnemac right now that was in serious financial difficulty. They have a child care center called Kingdom Kids. They were in trouble. They called their congregation together, their daycare staff together, their daycare parents. They called it Operation Debt Free. They gave their parents a chance and said, we may have to make policy changes. We may have to make charging changes. Are you willing to do that? This is what's at stake. No one has done that. No one has done that. No one has communicated with us. I'm going to tell you right now, my phone rang from phone calls, text messages, fear. My phone blew up until 12:40 in the morning on Friday when my husband finally said, Jessica, put your phone down. I said, I can't, because that's my family. Those are my families. They look to me and they want answers and they're not getting any. I realize none of you can discuss this with me because you all signed a non-disclosure agreement. I understand that. I'm not asking for anything back. I just want you to hear me. I have tried to follow the biblical principle. I went to Dean and Sandy first. Following that, I tried to reach out to someone I knew was on the Board of Deacons because I had no other means. So I reached out to them, and unfortunately he was not at the meeting on Thursday. He was out of town, so he was not able to hear me. I reached out to a couple members of your congregation, and I'm telling you, I took it to the next step. I talked to a national minister, and I have contacted Anderson. And I have parents that want to submit written statements based on how this was handled or the lack thereof. You have to understand, we're supposed to be a witness. We're called to be a witness. And you have displaced 52 families at Christmas time. There was no room for Mary and Joseph, and now there's no room for 52 families. Because I can tell you now, I have talked to the director at Kids Connection, I've talked to the director at Little Children, well, employees at Little Children's. They have room for a few, but not all the right ages to accommodate whole families, and they can't fill them all. And they have been given no notice. They don't even have it officially, completely yet, just based on Facebook. There is a social media storm going on right now, and your church is being dragged through the mud in this community. John. You have no Christian witness. You don't have one right now. Because if you've given people no notice and they have to find childcare, I can tell you now, February 7th would have been my 19 years with your ministry. And I have no job with no notice and not even in person. No one even coming to me personally. I am in grief. The only way I can possibly describe the grief that I have right now is that this is akin to how I felt when my father died suddenly when I was 14 years old. I have spent my entire life serving your church as a married woman and a mother. My entire life. And I did not even get anything in word, any notice, because I guarantee you if I had left your ministry, I would have given you notice.
This is not the love of Christ. It is not. It is not a well-rounded view. I was 4 months pregnant with this young girl right here when I started with your ministry. She grew up in your ministry. She thrived. She was a biter. She had difficulties when she was younger. She thrived in your ministry. She's gone on to become one of the most amazing young women I have ever seen in my life. And she has come back and served your ministry as an employee. And she herself at 18 has made a difference in the lives of children. Do you understand? She has never known a life outside of that building. Not one point in her life. Even if we've moved houses, even if we've moved other places, she has never known a time without that building. And she hasn't even had a chance to say goodbye. You don't even have 2 weeks' notice to be able to hug your children, assure them, tell them it's going to be okay. One day Miss Jessica's there, one day Miss Mendy's there, one day Miss Anita's there, and the next day she's not. With no warning. I humbly ask you to really meditate and think and pray on what's been done here, and truly on the biblical principle behind it and the biblical application, and how you have treated other people and what has got us to this point. Right now, I'm just devastated, I'm disappointed, and frankly, I'm embarrassed, because that Christian witness speaks to us all. It speaks of us all that claim Jesus as our Savior. I hope you understand that I don't have hate in my heart. I'm just devastated. I'm going to leave peacefully now. I really didn't want to take up too much of your time, and I appreciate you hearing me out and letting me stay and speak. Thank you.